big breaking news coming in from that GST Council meeting that is underway in the capital right now. Sunil Prabhu monitoring that meeting, stepping out to bring us a big update. Sunil, what do you have?
Well, what we were expecting and the entire country was expecting is a reduction in the rates, GST rates for vaccines, which were proposed at 5%, as well as other COVID-related goods. There was no consensus. The government of India wanted it at 5%. There was some argument saying that, for example, soaps are being used by the masses and not sanitizers, so we should continue to keep it at 18%. Of course, opposition rule. Finance Minister said this is bad optics. We need to show to the world as well as to India that while we are fighting COVID, that the government is in resonance with them, that we need to have zero tax on this. And because there was no consensus, the Finance Minister has agreed to set up a group of ministers now to look at this entire issue and report back within 10 days. Who that group of ministers are has not yet been decided and not yet been notified, but we will get those details at a later stage. The other point was, of course, an attempt to surreptitiously bring in ENA, which is related to alcohol, to bring alcohol and petroleum under the GST. That was ruled out. The state said that this is something that we have clearly made it clear that states need to have certain powers with them, and they will continue to do so. And on the crucial issue, which was supposed to be a game changer, the GST, that is assured growth for states in terms of revenue, because there has been a shortfall. That matter debated for a long time, no consensus, will have to meet again. So clearly what has happened after a marathon long meeting starting at 11 o'clock this morning, there has been no consensus and only a group of ministers to meet to decide how much will they be able to reduce taxes for the common man, for people like you and me who have to buy, for example, an oxygen concentrator or for that matter, any kind of COVID-related goods. They will have to defer and wait for a group of ministers to meet and then report back in 10 days, and then there will be some finality, hopefully.
Sunil Prabhu, could you clarify for the lay person what this means? This is the GST Council that is meeting after a gap of 8 months. 8 months during which we have been through a horrific pandemic where we have lost thousands of lives. We have just gotten through this even worse second wave where people have been complaining of shortage of oxygen, complaining of a lack of access to COVID medicines. After all that, the GST Council was aware of these issues as they went into this meeting. Even then, they have come out inconclusive with no decision. Is that correct?
That's right. It is inconclusive. It's sad, but this is the truth. The fact of the matter is that there has been no consensus. Opposition ruled states. I can speak with complete clarity because I've spoken to some of the opposition ruled finance ministers, and they made it clear that it just didn't give them good optics. The centre was proposing 5% on the vaccines. They said, no way, we can't accept this at this stage. We want it at 0%. Whatever the input credit you want to do, 0.1, whatever you do, because it just doesn't look good to the common man that we are making taxes for something that will help to save a common man. So as you rightly said, right through a pandemic, we have seen the last GST meeting in October. They have seen this entire sea change of events, but yet the finance ministry and the bureaucrats who are part of this entire exercise have not been able to find a consensus among states, and we are back at a stalemate, and we will have to have a group of ministers who decide on this, and hopefully in the next 10 days there will be some clarity after that.
So Sunil, was there any decision made, because there was a lot on the table, you know, the Sikkim proposal to charge a COVID cess on pharma companies, whether the states were demanding an extension of the deadlines of various GST compliance. Was a decision made on any of the issues that were on the table?
Well, on the COVID cess, which they were wanting to increase, for example, a state like Sikkim had been wanting it for pharmaceutical and power. They have again referred it to a group of ministers, though there was a by and large consensus by all states that they should be allowed to go ahead with that proposal. Because if a state is losing in terms of revenue and they need to make case of a shortfall, then why can't they be able to do it? See, this GST is basically a mini parliament. with the powers now being given to the GST Council, they are really the ones who ultimately decide on how they will go ahead in terms of increasing taxes. And if a state has a shortfall, they must be given that levy. So we will wait and see for that group of ministers. So really, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Sarah, but a lot of decisions were expected. But what we have been told is that only a group of ministers now will be meeting to finalize and hopefully give some consensus on these important issues.